So welcome all the dreamers and the doers, all the people that are pushing for the best version of you. If you're new here, welcome. Smash that subscribe button so you can keep coming back. And if you're already subscribed to the channel, thanks so much for the support. I'm Dan Burns. I'm a certified performance coach and a big time fitness enthusiast. I've had my own personal transformation when I was 16 years old. I went through a transformation of 85 pounds. So I was really overweight and got myself fit. From there, been able to kind of keep it off and did 2 bodybuilding shows, one gaining weight and then one losing weight again. So I'm really fascinated and always inspired by people's stories of personal transformation. And that's what today is. We're going to talk with Ahmed Somani and find out all about his story. And there's 2 reasons that I want to share with you why I'm doing this type of video. First of all, this is stories from just regular people. So it's people that otherwise you might not get to hear their stories if we didn't tell them. I don't have any celebrities or Calvin Klein models that have bulked themselves up just to rip themselves down so it looks like a fancy transformation. There's no supplements to be sold on this. It's all about just sharing honest insights with everybody. And if you're on a personal journey, I hope you can take something away from this. The second why that I've got is I haven't actually shared with anybody, even Ahmed doesn't know. But my goal in 2021 is to help 10 people transform themselves, transform their lives. So if you connect to this, you've got people who have been through a transformation, somebody you know, a family member, a friend, reach out to me. I'd love to tell their story. I'd love to help anybody that I can this year. I'm looking for 10 specific folks. So let's get right into the story of transformation. Ahmed, thanks for joining me here.
Yeah.
Why don't you just give everybody a good intro to yourself, tell them who you are, and just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Ahmed Somani, 24 years old, and I've been through a transformation of my own. It's similar to your story, actually, Dan. Started when I was 16 years old. I was at a point where I was the heaviest of my life. I noticed myself at a particular weight that, the scale just kept going up and I just wasn't happy with where I was. So I thought it was time to make a change. And that's kind of where I started my transformation. And it's been an 8-year-long journey and setting some mini goals along the way. First it started out with cutting all the way down, lost about 90 pounds. So I went from 240 to 150, and that was my first target. So that took me about a year and a half to do. So that was sort of my first target. And then, like they say that a transformation is never done. It's a continuous process. So went maintaining for a while until I started hitting the weights. And that was the second part of my transformation, was to put on some muscle and bulk up. And that's it's kind of where I'm at now, and it's been a roller coaster for sure, but feeling great, and hoping with our video we're able to spread some motivation and inspire a few folks out there that are struggling with the things that we did when we first started.
Wow, that's an incredible transformation. That's a lot of weight,
Yeah.
and a year and a half. It sounds like, I just did it, but that length of time.
Yeah.
A lot of people, kind of tap out at about 2 weeks into a diet, and you're talking about a year and a half of, continuous grind. So there's a lot there that we'll unpack and we'll dig into. How tall are you, Ahmed?
I'm 6'1".
6'1". Okay. And what was your heaviest weight when you reached your peak?
So when I was 240 pounds, I was 16 years old. I must have been about 5'8", 5'9".
Okay. So that's pretty similar to me too. I think 240 was my heaviest. I was, playing defensive line. The story I always tell is I was in wrestling.
Yeah.
And I wasn't heavyweight. I wasn't super heavyweight.
Yeah.
I was actually in a category they call unlimited.
Okay.
So most people wouldn't even know there's something above super heavyweight.
Okay.
But basically, it meant I was the fattest guy that showed up at the wrestling tournament. So, and to your point, yeah, like, I'm shorter than I am now. So,
yeah.
So was there a point for you, Ahmed, that there was a trigger, or, was there anything that kind of was like, okay, enough is enough, like I'm making a change?
So I feel like being in high school at the time where my transformation started, unfortunately, something that people that are, I guess, overweight, a lot of them do deal with bullying. So that was something that I did experience. It's a little comments that used to get to me. And those were sort of the accumulation of all of those did build up and kind of pushed me to, for one, not want to hear them anymore. So that was one of the things that did push me to start my transformation. The other was just for myself. I've always been into kind of, I guess, fashion in a sense, where you see clothes that you do want to wear, and you see, like you mentioned, the whole Calvin Klein thing. You see these models, and you see these pictures of people that are wearing nice clothes, and you're like, damn, I don't look like them, and I wanna wear it, but I know that it won't fit me the way it fits them. So it was kind of those things that I was like, I want to be comfortable in the clothes that I wear. I want to shop. I want to buy nice things, and I want to be confident. So that was kind of something that did initiate the process for me. How about you?
Wow. Yeah, that is such a great insight, and that just boom, like triggered for me that, the same thing, is that there was things that everybody was wearing, polo shirts and particular fashions, and I always actually tried to use stuff like that to almost cover up that I didn't have, a body like everybody else's. So I tried to just, I get the coolest clothes I could so that I fit in that way. But, you never feel comfortable in that. And you don't feel like you're pulling it off the same way that, other people do. So
I agree.
Yeah, I get you on that, the style. When you're dressed up and you feel great, not just because of the clothes, but you feel fit.
Yeah.
That fitness is the thing that is such a great style.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So when you got started, where did you begin? Because I think a lot of people struggle with, like, what's the right program? Did you get into like fad diets, and like, did you go to like the magazines for workouts, or like how did you figure out where to get going?
So, it's funny, people ask me that question often, is like, what pushed you to start? How did you start? And I feel like everybody, I had 4 to 5 diets that were complete bust. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm starting today, and by Friday I was topping out. And that happened so many times, and I sat back and I thought about what's the reason why I keep failing. And I kind of boiled it down to, there's 2 aspects to a transformation. There's the physical aspect, and there's also the mental aspect. So jumping straight into a diet and expecting the physical results without training your mind, you're going to fail, at least in my experience. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate to that, but that's something that I thought I wasn't able to understand what kept pulling me back, kept making me fail. So until I fully tackled that, then I moved on to physical. So, I started at the age of 16. So it was 16 years of bad habits that I built up. Eating late at night after dinner, drinking soda, eating cookies. There were so many bad habits that I'd built up. And if I tried to change all of those at once, as well as grinding in the gym 5 days a week, I was bound to fail. So my tactic was to tackle the mental aspect first, and train myself to break these habits. And once I was comfortable, and I did find myself turning away from cookies and not eating after night, after dinner, sorry. And then I started to incorporate the workouts. So that's when I really saw the change.
All right. So you kind of focused on the nutrition and just trying to clean it up a little bit before going, full into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a common thing that people struggle with too. I see it, all the time where you want to get the result. So the instinct is just to sprint, change everything you possibly can and go from, having kind of bad habits to being, so strict, so perfect with everything. Yeah. And that just burns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you, a year and over a year, how did you mentally deal with, the bad days and the things that, kind of come with, sometimes you're rolling, things are really good. And then other days you're like, I don't want to work out. The cookies look good again. How'd you deal with that?
So I think one thing that was important and kept me going was taking progress photos throughout. And a progress photo may not just even be a snap of your body. It may be a picture of the scale. So that's one thing that really kept me going, something to look back on to see my progress throughout the whole process. If at week 3, you don't see the scale dropping, you look back at the photo you took at week 2 and, you've moved the needle a bit. So that's something that did help me mentally is I can't give up. I can't expect results like this. So it's important to look back on the photos and see how far you've come from the first day that you did start. That's one thing that really kept me going. And the other thing that kept me going was the bad days where, maybe I did fall off track and I did mess around with my diet a bit, was that old saying that one bad day won't ruin you, just like one good day won't ruin a streak of bad days. So it's all about consistency. So if I was consistent for a month and I fell off track one day, I'm not going to beat myself up about it because there's always tomorrow. And that one day, in reality, it won't have the physical impact that I thought it would. Whereas I can just put in the time into the gym tomorrow and, work on taking off those extra calories that I did put on.
I love it. I'm just going to grab that little thing you said there and, I'm not going to beat myself up about it because I think that's where people get caught is, I did something I'm not supposed to and the guilt comes, the shame comes, I'm failing again, and that just derails all the progress. So back to your point, how mental, is it? So can I ask you about the scale? Because you said, photos were helpful, and I agree with you. I think that you can do, before and after photos and see the changes. I also like to have like a where you want to get to photo, some type of inspiration photo to say, hey, it's not all about 5 pounds, 10 pounds. It's like, here's what I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
If it's someone else that you admire or aspire to look like, that gives you that vision to set things. And then you just keep working until your before photo turns into that inspirational image. But did you get caught up on the scale and that playing with your mental?
Definitely. And I think that was part of the challenge was not focusing too much on the number. So, you will look at the scale and if you don't get the results that you expected that week or that day, it's important to not let yourself fall off track because another part of the transformation is how you feel. You have to go off of how your clothes fit. You have to go off of like how you feel in terms of like your confidence, all these things. Like the scale is one aspect. That number is one thing that is a numerical value that does kind of show you how much you've progressed. But there are so many other ways you can gauge your progress throughout a transformation. So, it's important to look at everything else, not just the numbers.
So tell me about the shift then from you're thin to, okay, now I'm going to start to kind of bulk up. I'm going to put on some muscle. Did it ever kind of start going off the rails towards, hey, I'm going to get big again? Or how are you able to do the next leg of the transformation?
Yeah, I think there was that scare there because I finally was thin. I was what I wanted to be. And you know, you've done bodybuilding and you and I both know how difficult it is to put on some mass, put on some muscle. And I was naive to think that spending a week in the gym would make me become massive. So I was so scared to lift weights because I was like, no, 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 like I'm gonna get too big. But it's so tough to put on muscles. So that was kind of where I felt like there was a bit of anxiety there to keep pushing myself because what if I do get too big? And then also with the flexible dieting came days where I did overeat. So I think it was kind of pulling myself back and really trying to stay in control. And again, tying back into nutrition, because you can train all you want, but if your nutrition isn't in check, you're not going to get the results that you want. So making sure that I really focus on my diet was important.
I went through a lot of anxiety around, fueling workouts.
Yeah.
As when you put yourself in a deficit and you get used to, kind of making sure that you're restricted, when you transition the other way to try to put on some size,
Yeah.
eating becomes like, whoa, hold on a second here. You want me to eat in the surplus.
Yeah.
I remember at one point I had 8 meals a day and I was like mentally, I was training a lot and it was working. I was building up. I was stronger than ever. But
Yeah.
mentally, I was like, I am overeating, even though it was all clean meals, tuna and chicken and steak, and everything was good calories, very
Mhm.
clean calories. But the volume, it was such a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So what are your go-to foods now? What are the things that keep you where you want to be? What's the go-to?
So my day starts off with a black coffee every morning.
Yeah.
That's something that keeps me going in the morning. It's a good start to my day. But every day I have a bowl of oatmeal. So I love oatmeal. Starts me off on a full stomach, and then I'm good for a few hours for sure. And putting little things inside my oatmeal that do make it feel like I am treating myself. A scoop of peanut butter, cutting up a banana into there, using those 0 calorie syrups like Walden Farms, and those are awesome, and those have helped me a lot through the process. Go to for lunch would be egg whites for sure. I'll have an omelet or scrambled if I don't have much time, and that's kind of what I do have. And then my dinner is quite flexible. It'll always be a carb and a protein. So whether it's rice or potatoes, and then chicken or salmon, I tend to stay away from red meats.
Yeah.
Or I love seafood, so that's kind of where my meals are. And then like there are variations in the days, and I allow myself to enjoy. I haven't restricted myself too much. As long as I'm training and I am still doing my activities, I do enjoy my food. So I think it is important to pinpoint your things that do make you fall off track. You could try a diet many times, but if it's not working, you need to actually evaluate and see what it is that will keep you on track. And once you tackle that, um, anything is possible. You have to do this for yourself, not for other people. This is something that's going to benefit you. You need to look at where you want to be and have a picture in your head of, like you mentioned, someone that you want to look like, or a picture in your mind of your own body or the clothes that you want to see yourself in. And that's something that you will work towards. And again, like not comparing yourself to other people. Everyone has a different path. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different body. What you eat may not affect your body the way it affects mine. So, finding what works for you. It is a journey. It's not going to be quick. Some people do it in a year. Some people do it in 3 years. So, it's about consistency, and bad days always happen. So just pick up the next day and keep going.
Yeah, it is a journey too. And, you see a lot of the 6-week plan, the 8-week plan. Well, some people can do it in that time, and that's what works. Other people, it's, for me, it was over a year to get the 85 pounds, and a lot of like stop, start. But yeah, that's great wisdom to share with people. And, what I want to add to that is that I wish I had more support. I think you don't have to do everything on your own. There's a lot of, YouTube channels. There's a lot of, people out there that are passing along good information. There's coaches. There's people at your gym. There's so much support, and trying to do it all on your own. That's the mistake I think that I made, is that I just kind of white knuckled it and, failed. But had I had some support or reached out and said, hey, you know what, teach me how to do this, I probably could have shortened the time and, all the stress that I went through by having somebody who had already walked the path.
Yeah.
And when I went to the bodybuilding show, I got a coach. And that made an enormous difference. I could not have done anything without that coach. And without having a good training partner too, that helped me so much. So other people can be your support. You're not alone. You can do it with other people. So
definitely, I agree.
Did you have anybody, Ahmed, that you want to give a shout out to in this video that might end up watching, that supported you, that helped you? It's your chance to, you're on the other side of the transformation, to look back and say, hey, thanks for your support, for helping me out. Because we don't do it all on our own, whether we like to think that we did it all ourselves.
Definitely my parents, for sure. The two of them were supportive through every step of the process. And, the days that I would want to give up or give into my temptations, they were there to tell me to, stay on track and keep reminding me of where I wanted to be in my goals, and for definitely filling the fridge with foods that, did help me. I was in high school and I did not have the finances to eat the way I was. So that was a huge help throughout the process. And they really did get a grasp of nutrition themselves and tried to cook me healthy meals and make these decisions to help me as well. So they've been amazing throughout the process, and they still are. So shout out to them.
Oh, that's awesome. Good job, Mom and Dad. Yeah, it's important, to have that support there and somebody to help you with the meals. I think you've told me, you love to cook now, and you're into your food, so you can support yourself. But at the same time, we all start from a different spot. So, if you need people to help you, ask for the help. It's fantastic getting to learn more about your journey, Ahmed. Thanks for sharing it with me. Thanks for sharing it with anybody who's going to tune in and watch. Congratulations on everything, and a fantastic transformation in your life.
So thank you so much for having me on the channel. I appreciate it. And to everyone watching, best of luck, and keep pushing.
All right, so this is Transformation Talks. We're going to have more. It's been Ahmed Somani and his transformation. Go out and smash your goals, dream it and do it. Get to work, get it done, and make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Leave comments if there's anything that you want to wish that I had asked Ahmed, or I can ask another guest. Tune back in, there'll be more. Take these pearls and go get at it. Start to execute.